Hey you guys, I'm Erica Jollis with Roundtable Realty. Let's talk about a new term that we're hearing, or we've been hearing about in this market, called the appraisal gap. So in a typical contract, when you submit an offer, you have a financing contingency, which includes the ability to back out if the home does not appraise. In a normal market, I would always tell my buyers, you are not going to pay more for the house than the bank deems it's worth. So if you were under contract for $500,000 and it appraised for $480,000, you better bet your bottom dollar that we were going to go back to that seller and renegotiate and try to get him or her down to $480,000. If not, we could walk away. And at that time, there would be tons of other options out there. Well, fast forward to today's market. That's no longer the case, as we all know. So we have to talk about the appraisal gap even before we submit the offer. And the appraisal gap is the gap between what the home appraises for and what the contracted price is. So again, let's use the example of $500,000. I like really simple numbers. Math ain't my thing. If we are contracted at $500,000 and the house hypothetically was listed at $420,000, but we used the escalation addendum and we got up to $500,000, there's a chance that that house might not appraise. So we have to decide how much additional cash are you willing to bring to the closing table to make up the difference between the appraised value and the contracted value. So for example, if we're contracted at $500,000, are you willing to bring an additional $40,000 cash to the closing table in the event that the house only appraises for $460,000? So that seller could still get his or her agreed upon $500,000. Or are you willing to keep it open? Meaning you're not going to put a dollar amount, and whatever it appraises at, you're going to bring the difference in cash to closing. That's a conversation, and I would guide you about my thoughts and the best way to go about doing that. But it's very important in today's market that you're thinking about how much additional cash you might have and are willing to bring to closing to bridge the gap between the two. Because in this market, there is no going back to the seller to renegotiate. The seller is going to say to you, bye-bye, Mr. Buyer. I'm moving on to the next one. I'm Erica, your Northeast Florida realtor and happiness maker.